Hi everyone. We've been walking through Jesus' teaching on the Beatitudes, seeing what it means to be a kingdom person, and today we tackle the last three, and they're not easy. They challenge us to consider the cost of following Jesus. Jesus says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." And let's be real, peacemakers are not always popular. Think about a police officer stepping into an argument. Both sides see him as the enemy, and that's often what it feels like to be the peacemaker. But Jesus is saying that when we step into conflict with a heart of reconciliation, when we seek to bring people together rather than divide, we reflect God's true nature. Why? Because God himself is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked, according to Luke 6:35. He didn't wait for us to deserve peace. He brought it to us first. But being a peacemaker doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everyone gets along. It means stepping into genuine, hard situations with love and truth. And sometimes standing for peace will put us in the crossfire. That leads us straight to the next point. Jesus says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Notice he doesn't say, if you are persecuted, but when. Why? Because when we live by God's values, when we choose righteousness over convenience, honesty over compromise, and justice over silence, it will make people uncomfortable. And this has been true throughout history. The early Christians refused to worship pagan gods, and they were branded as troublemakers. Some were thrown to the lions, others were blamed for disasters, and many lost their lives simply for following Jesus as Lord. Even today, standing up for righteousness can cost us. It might not be the lions in the arena, but it could mean losing friendships, being misunderstood, even facing legal challenges in certain places. And Jesus doesn't just stop there. He doubles down and gets even more specific. "Blessed are you when people insult you, when they persecute you and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me." It's not exactly a great marketing slogan for Christianity, is it? But Jesus is telling us something crucial. When we face rejection for his sake, we are in good company. The prophets were persecuted, the disciples, except for John, were all martyred, and Jesus himself was crucified. If we're following him, we should expect some pushback. But Jesus reminds us, rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. Jesus is not just giving us nice sayings, he's describing what it means to be a part of his kingdom. And here's the reality, following Jesus costs something. It cost Dietrich Bonhoeffer his life when he stood against the Nazis. It has cost Christians their freedom and their lives for, ever since the early days of the church. And while we may not face the same level of persecution as the martyrs have, we also might. And so it's good to count the cost now and strengthen that muscle of resolve in our faith. Living as kingdom people will always go against the grain of our world, but here's the good news. Jesus lived it first. He was the ultimate peacemaker. He was the persecuted one for righteousness. He was insulted, mocked, and crucified for our sake. And having been there through it, he is the perfect person to walk alongside us in whatever dark places we have to journey through. And remember, while the world might be a dark place, we serve the one who has overcome it. And so the question is, are we in or are we out? Are we willing to live like Jesus no matter the cost? Because if we are, then we are truly blessed, both now and when the kingdom comes in all its fullness.